Comes over with 2 flaming kebabs. Bond does something, it turns into himself and puts him on fire. So he goes, falls off the edge. The other one tries to get Bond. Bond gives him a whack, turns around, kicks him. So he's under like that. He's bent over double. Bond's behind him, gets the bomb, lifts it up, and he goes, ooh. And then Bond goes, woof, and he goes, ooh. Flips him over, explosion. And I was just like, oh.
Thank you very much for joining us. Episode of Film Club. I'm one your host, Andy Harrison. To my right, as always, it's Andy Donaldson.
Hi.
Every single week in Film Club, we invite you along to watch a film with us. We dive into some of cinema's best before coming back here to talk it out. Andy, what are we talking about this week?
Anomalisa.
From Charlie Kaufman. This is following on from last week where we looked at Synecdoche, New York.
Yep.
Recommended by Ryan Armitage. Thank you, Ryan. Just going to shout you out here because we totally fucked him over last episode. So, Anomalisa. What the hell is Anomalisa all about?
Anomalisa's about a bloke, which I'm just going to get his name, Michael Stone, who's a famous author of like self-help books, and he's about to go to a speech. He's got like a crowd of people, a convention sort of thing for him, where he's going to talk about his book, and it starts on a plane. Him going there, stays one night. He's just so unimpressed with everyone around him and everything. Everyone's talking the same. Everyone's the same. And then one night he's kind of like, fuck's sake. And then he hears an actual proper voice outside, a person, as he says, a real individual. It turns out a young girl who's pretty all over him, and her friend who's also all over him, but has that same monotonous kind of voice. And he ends up going out for drinks with him. Oh no, he meets up with an old acquaintance, an old flame, and that kind of falls through. He goes to back to this girl, takes her back. They have this really intimate moment together in the room, which involves sex, and then wake up the next morning, and then everything kind of builds up, and she starts becoming ever so slightly monotonous, and he starts caving in, has a bit of a breakdown, goes home to his family, and is like, what is life?
Yep. That summarizes the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's a bizarre sort of style of stop motion. It's a bizarre sort of style of stop motion, and it's a bizarre character style as well to add into this sort of like very grounded narrative.
For Kaufman as well.
How did it hit you?
So I was unsure whether the way the animation was at first. I was a bit unsure, and then I got into the film, and more and more I was getting into it more and more. Then I started to realise stuff here and there. Like for example, everyone's face is the same. It's the same. It's actually Sammy from Synecdoche, is that how you pronounce it?
Synecdoche.
It's Sammy who plays.
Is it really?
Yes, it's his voice.
Yeah.
You know that voice like this?
I thought I recognised it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's his voice who is meant to be monotonous. It's meant to be like droll and like samey as everything else, but we like him because we like Sammy. But my point is, so I was getting on board with this. I was like, you know what? Yeah, fucking right. Yeah, you know what? Like this. And it was only until I texted him like 3:00 this morning when I was watching it, going, Andy, because I read a few things about this, because the sound was one of the things that was coming to me.
Oh, I didn't watch those scenes again.
Watch it again. And you guys, if you haven't watched it with headphones, watch it again. Just try and listen to the sound around you. So I was reading into it, and I was thinking, holy fuck, this was originally a sound play. So the idea is, much like what Andy was telling us about a podcast just then called Serial, and it's a scripted, it's like, imagine a TV show, but without any of the visual.
It's like a radio play.
Yeah, radio play. So this is the same, like a radio play. Obviously quite long. 3 people in it. There's obviously Sammy, there was a guy called Sammy, Tom Noonan. Then you got obviously David Thewlis. Most people know him off Harry Potter. I've been rewatching them lately, so of course I do. As who is he? You should know. Your dad's Harry Potter.
My dad is Harry Potter.
And so is my girlfriend.
I'm the son of Harry Potter.
I should really know. It's Lupin, isn't it? And you got Jennifer Jason Leigh, who plays the girl, the individual, plays Lisa. Now, it's literally 3 of them, and they've done it before where they're all talking together. And what they're on about, I actually saw a few interviews. So the more I got into this, the more I was actually watching this, the more everything was coming together. I texted him saying, Andy, watch it with headphones, mate. I started watching it from about 25 minutes in with headphones, more and more into this. This whole, everything's coming together. I'm like, what the fuck, this is amazing. Like, everything went around. The reactions were there. And it comes down, the interviews themselves. I've got an interview in here, I'm going to link on the bottom with IndieWire article, and it's interviewing the 2 sound people who did the sound design to it. So from watching this, I've done an immense amount of research into what it is.
I feel like there's a book coming.
No.
Oh, really?
It's literally everything game. What they've done
Yeah.
is amazing, and they've so we're on about, like, for example, A Quiet Place, a film that came out this year, which is a horror film, which is an immense amount of focus on the sound. Now this does the same thing because it was a sound play. They wanted the sound to, like, lead the way, and that comes in where the animation comes in a little bit. So as an interview, it's like 25 minutes long with and a woman or a guy, I can't remember, interviewing saying, "Oh, to you, Kaufman, obviously this is originally a sound play. How did you feel when it got brought up, the fact that it's going to be put to animation and stuff like that?" It was like, obviously I was a bit, held back, but because in the play they're all kind of like, they're a bit laid back, they're a bit solemn in the way they deliver it. Besides Lisa, of course, they accentuated those emotions with the animation, and there's a reason they use those animation style. I can't remember what it's called. Replaceable animation. He said it in the interview, and it's the one where you have the cross there, and it means you can have. He was saying you can have 120 different things on your forehead like that, and basically they make the face. They kept the lines there to show everyone and be like, "Look, we are using animation here. This is a really good way." It's kind of like self-referential. It's like meta thingy, what you were saying before. Can't remember the thing. Basically saying, "Look, this is a really good way of doing animation. Really train emotion," and it all comes together. And the amount of effort they put in behind it, the sound designs, what they've done, like the amount of ambience through all the scenes, like, for example, the stuff, and the people talking, and the little clatter, you feel like you're there. And to watch an animation, to feel like you're there and watching this, I was fucking blown away.
That was a thing I think that struck me, was that I think more than any animation I've seen before, this has a great deal of attention paid to the sound design, not only in terms of making a soundscape, but making a soundscape which feels layered,
hugely,
but real as well. Because a lot of animation sound designs can be layered, but they don't often go for realism.
Yeah, it's you get parts. It's almost scripted. You know when stuff comes in animation, and in some animation. With this, it's like, if you were closing your eyes, you'd feel like you're there. Obviously, you're watching animation, but yet the animation is the way they go, and how realistic the facial expressions are. I mean, those guys have done a great job. These guys did.
All the puppets, I believe, were 3D printed.
Yes, they were. They were 3D printed. Also, the budget they got on this, which is $400,000 at the time, and then it built up a more. It started from a Kickstarter.
Yes, that $400,000 was from a Kickstarter, but then it was
obviously
the rest of it was funded by.
Look, this is what we're going to do.
I can't remember who it was. Some of the production company did step in and give them the rest of the money, because like the production for this went on for, I think, a couple of years.
I think it was 10 years. They were saying, up to 10 years.
I think it was 2 years.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Well, the guys, they were saying the animators did 2 seconds. I think it was 2 seconds an hour. So in a week they had 2 minutes, a minute or 2 minutes worth of footage.
Because the film is actually, funny enough, it feels short, but it feels short in quite a nice way.
An hour
feels
and a
half. So it cuts before, isn't it? It's like an hour 23.
Okay.
Where it cuts, and it feels short, but it feels short in a really way that's like it feels contained. It's like it's one little moment in his time, his life, and that's kind of laid out for you. And then after that, you can just let your imagination run wild. It's a lovely way of framing around this not one night, but one event, one trip that occurs.
One night trip.
It starts with him on the plane heading off to the I can't remember what the city's called, and then it ends with him coming home. It's like it's just framed around this one single trip. It's a great way of just letting you experience this guy who's clearly going through some sort of midlife crisis.
That's it. Well, yeah, it could be more than that, but then it explores themes, what Kaufman's tried to do before. And again, this is sometimes I get a bit of this from the interviews, where, for example, how do you pronounce it again? New York?
Synecdoche,
New York. How you have the question of that was, what is it to be you? Anyone can play you. That's why they have doppelgangers. That's why you have people playing you that eventually make the decisions for you. The idea is everyone is everyone. So that's that's sort of the building the end of that. They actually move that forward with this, where everyone looks the same. So that was a more Synecdoche was more of a, like, in some respect, a bit of an optimistic manner. I mean, at the end where he's like, he's happy, he wants to be told what to do. That's what he wanted. Yeah. Whereas this is more in a depressing fashion, because he wants to find individuals. Michael Stone wants to find individuals. That's why he hears Lisa's voice.
And, like, thematically, it's talking about homogenization of people and ideas. And I do really like that they very clearly chose a period in time which was very based around monoculture.
Yeah.
Like, prior to the internet, we were very much a monoculture. And it was only the internet that turns into a polyculture. And to choose that period right before the internet becomes a thing is great, because it's when we're at where we are the epitome at that point of everyone's watching the same stuff, everyone's listening to the same stuff, everyone has the same thoughts and opinions. Whereas now it's more difficult to tell that story.
Yeah, yeah. What did you think of it? We haven't even gone into that.
So I find it a very endearing film. I really like it. I really like it. But I think it suffers from just a few elements that are problematic. I think there's a few threads that are left dangling unnecessarily. And there's some of the narrative beats which are sped over quite quickly. Like the night after the morning after they sleep together, suddenly everything annoys him about her. Yeah. And then her voice just kind of changes into being everybody else. And I can understand what they're doing thematically, but narratively it just kind of happens. Similarly, the film, although I like the framing device of like him getting home and ending, it does feel like it just kind of ends.
Yes, it does. It does. It does.
And then my last one is his dream that doesn't go anywhere. Like the dream is a lovely setup for something.
The dream's the idea that he's becoming one of them. He's becoming monotonous. He's becoming like the same as them. That's what I get from it.
So I get that it expresses the fears, but it's a decent chunk of the film to like dedicate to just this one kind of throwaway idea.
Okay.
Because it's also it gets set up earlier on when his wife says that he's been thrashing around in his sleep, and then you find out why he's been thrashing around in his sleep, and then doesn't go anywhere.
It would be nice if they ended it maybe with that kind of thing of him becoming everyone, or accepting that he's become everyone. Yeah. Maybe a smile of happiness, I don't know.
So what I really like about this, though, what I really love about this is exactly the opposite of what we were talking about last week. This is Charlie Kaufman on a leash. This is Charlie Kaufman, but totally grounded. This is like his weird elements, but in something more contextualized and something that has a bit more structure in it. And I really love that about it. It still has its weird elements. The whole like everyone's voiced by the same person is excellent.
The girl at the toy at the end for his son, which made me laugh.
That's so fucking funny. That is honestly so funny. And he's just constantly, the kid's just like, "What's he doing now? What, man? What's semen?" And they just keep glossing over, and like that sort of comedic.
Kaufman, that's Kaufman.
Comedic beat is very difficult to do, and he opens the film with it as well with the guy with the. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to grab your hand.
And so when he keeps going over, like he's already invading his personal space by grabbing his hand, he just goes. And it's just like
the final gag that you can let go now. It's so good. Yeah. So all that stuff adds up really. All the moments, I love all the moments in this. It feels a little sloppy the way it's constructed. I know that Charlie Kaufman had apparently had problems with the stop motion. Like he found it difficult to work in that way. He found it difficult.
I think anyone would if it's your first one as well, and to do it with that, it kind of has that kind of emotion from a sound play. I think anyone would run into problems.
Absolutely, and he was very trepidatious about ever turning it into a film to begin with. I think he did a very good job, but I feel like I can see where he struggled, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just pulls it a little bit.
But I think, I'm happy with that kind of criticism there. I think this for me, it did grab me, but with the amount of research and actual realization of the technical parts of it all and how it all came together, that's what struck me, and I was just like, hands down, that is a feat, an absolute feat for me.
Yeah. Technically, you cannot fault the film.
No.
Look stunning, sound stunning, and amazing performances from
really
everybody,
well played,
especially the differentiation.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, you're voicing everybody by the same person, but everyone has a little bit of personality.
Is this Tom Noonan? He's doing a fantastic job. And before last week, I never even knew about the guy, and for him to come out, and I do find his voice quite soothing after listening to it all now, and I'm like, I quite like it. But then you got what's his David Thewlis, and he really does get that kind of annoyed, the happiness and everything come together. But I think for me, the star is Jennifer Jason Leigh, and the way that like when she's singing those songs and stuff, and now he's singing Japanese, like. Do you not like it?
No, it's so funny. I just love how he just takes that bit where she's singing and has picked the most ridiculous song and just drags it out to the most ridiculous point, and then she sings it in Italian. It's just like she genuinely feels that this is a deep, thematically rich song, and it's really not.
Do you know? Right? Okay. But it's the idea behind the singing and how she's doing it.
Yeah.
So it's proper, like everything shuts down and lets her speak. And she does it really well, and a credit.
That's how he gets the laugh so well, because he plays it so straight. He plays it so straight, And it's just this underlying niggle of like, this is ridiculous. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
He knows how to direct. This is one of the best things. I mean, Charlie Kaufman knows how to both write and direct drama and humor, but in sort of very, very dry humor.
Yeah, very dry and very weird,
Unlike,
unorthodox.
we were just talking about Martin McDonagh, who does like...
I watched 3 Billboards last night. Fucking unreal.
Who does like... He does dark humor mixed with drama.
Really well.
Whereas like Kaufman's not going for that dark humor. He's going for this sort of almost tongue-in-cheek sort of like... It's almost a British sensibility to the way he writes humor. Of like, it's very, very dry, very, very subtle, very almost unacknowledged humor.
Yeah.
You just pass over it.
Like you said, he's like with a kid down there, he just glosses over that.
Yeah, you do. Like, if you want to listen to the kid, then by all means, like, get the laugh from the kid. But if you want to ignore the kid, fine, like, carry on with the story.
Which makes it funny.
It does. It really, really does.
I'm seriously looking forward to his next production, his next film that he's directing. Because like, it's been a good couple of weeks, and it's a shame we've only got those 2 to go off from him, because if he's got that team behind him already, right, and he's got that ability to do what he's done in both visual parts and sound, in acting, he's obviously, whoever he's casting director, whatever, superb job in all films. And for them to come round and for the next film all come together, I think it's gonna be insane. I think it's gonna be absolutely incredible.
He reminds me in a lot of ways of Wes Anderson. And Wes Anderson's sort of overt creativity, and even his similar sort of style and stop motion technique, where they're not so bothered about seeing like rustling in clothes and stuff, and they quite like that rough animation style. But anyway, there is Anomalisa. You can let us know in the comments below what you thought of Anomalisa, or you can hit us up on Twitter, as always. We're back once again where we are starting something epic. Andy, next week we begin an adventure together.
We do.
We begin the adventure of
Fallout.
of the origin of Fallout's inspiration. We are taking a look at every single one of the Mad Max films.
How many are there?
I think 3.
Okay, does that include the new one, yeah?
I think. I have to check this actually.
Okay.
If we've just locked ourselves into doing like 9 films.
No. If it's like
that.
If them straight to DVD, 3rd or 4th one, we're
No,
not
no,
doing
yeah.
that.
If anything, it's straight to DVD. No, we're taking a look at the theatrical releases. Yeah, we're taking a look at all the Mad Max films. By all means, watch along, come along with us, find out where the influence for Fallout and influence for a lot of the sci-fi and a lot of the action films for years to come, what they all base. What are you looking at for?
Get like a Vault Boy or a Pit Boy.
Could we get a Tom Hardy?
I have a Ryan Gosling, not a Tom Hardy.
Better yet, we'll get a Mel Gibson.
We'll get Mel Gibson, yeah.
We're not that edgy of a show. Right, so we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy Mad Max.
Bye.
I hate Mad Max.
What?
Nothing.